Good morning, and happy hump day, folks. Well, the fact I'm doing this on hump day actually kind of makes this even better for me. Before I do that, let me get to my low, high, and act of kindness. My low is... Actually, my low and my high are kind of intertwined. But my low is the fact I can't believe it took me this long to get to seeing a movie this year. And my high was seeing a movie. Actually, hold on. Let me fix the camera a little bit. There we go. Another part of my high was I got to see my nephews yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And my act of kindness was I took out the garbage for my parents. I helped make dinner for my parents. And that was actually about it. But hey, a couple acts of kindness. So, now I got that out of the way. I'm going to begin, well, technically I already began the video with my low, my high, my act of kindness, but in terms of the topic for today, I want to take you guys back to what would be 95 years ago. 1930. Audiences going to the movies were introduced to Looney Tunes. These shorts would ultimately define the comedy of a generation. Actually, several generations after. It gave us characters like Sylvester the Cat, Speedy Gonzales, Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, Porky Pig, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and many others. They became so popular that a kid like myself who grew up in the 90s would watch these shorts on Nickelodeon and then Cartoon Network. And in movies like Space Jam or Looney Tunes Back in Action. These characters have been in the social zeitgeist for 95 years. And it's only fitting that their true return to form would be on the very silver screen that audiences were introduced to so long ago. This is the day the Earth blew up, a Looney Tunes movie. Now, as my rather unambiguous introduction to this topic should tell you, I was introduced to Looney Tunes when they would be on Nickelodeon in the 90s. And then Cartoon Network became the only place you could watch Looney Tunes. And then they were on Boomerang, and now if you want to watch any Looney Tunes cartoons, you can go on YouTube. But my point is, I've known about Looney Tunes my entire life. I mean, before, shows like Amphibia, or Steven Universe, or Ed, Edd n Eddy, or, even Rugrats, or Transformers, or G.I. Joe, or, My Little Pony, or even before, the Disney movies, even before Snow White even, we had Looney Tunes. And as I said earlier, they help shape the, not just comedy, but also entertainment as a whole forever. So, before I get into this movie, I really want to give just everything that Looney Tunes has done the respect and admiration that it deserves, just for that alone. Because it shaped a lot of comedic minds, even of like my generation, give or take. I mean, Doug Walker, aka the Nostalgia Critic, his number one comedic inspiration is Daffy Duck, which is very fitting that, you know, the movie stars Daffy Duck, as well as Porky Pig. So, I mean, growing up, I was always more of a Bugs Bunny fan. But I like watching Porky and Daffy. You know, they're arguably the greatest dynamic duo in all of fiction. You know, before Batman and Robin. You know, before, I guess, Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Wedding Crashers. I don't know. The point is, like, even now, as long as you have, like, a competent writer and decent animators, you can portray Porky Pig and Daffy Duck as the ultimate, you know, straight man and comedic foil. Or, actually, what is the opposite of a straight man? Because Porky Pig is definitely the straight man. There's no question about that. But I guess I'd talk about the movie. So, if you're just looking for my opinion, I'll just say it right now. The movie was nothing short of wonderful. You know, it made me laugh. It made me invested. And it made me kind of emotional. Not to the point where I was crying, but I could feel like the weight of the emotion. I've said this many times doing these videos. I'm going to keep saying it forever. Good comedy should make you laugh. Great comedy should make you laugh and think. And even back in the old Looney Tunes shorts, they knew how to, you know, combine the funny, but also make you think, never thought of it that way. I mean, just by the concept of cartoon logic alone, that's where Looney Tunes is where that came from. And they definitely play around with that a lot in this movie. So I guess you want me to get into the story. So it starts out with Porky Pig and Daffy Duck being orphans founded by a farmer named Farmer Jim. And, you know, you get to see him grow up, and that part's actually really sweet, adorable. I like that. And that's actually one of the greatest strengths I don't think this movie's going to get enough credit for. There's actually several really good messages for kids to learn. Like the importance of sticking together. And, you know, loving your friends for who and what they are. And trusting them that they'll be able to, you know, do the right thing. And, you know, but also gives you the messages of, you know, it is a big world out there. And, yeah, it can be a little intimidating. But if you stick with the people who care about you the most, you'd be surprised how far you're going to get. Throughout this movie, I couldn't help but smile and laugh and, you know, understand, you know, the gravity of some situations and laugh at several others. It's very clear that the people who wrote and animated this movie, like, they didn't just say, oh, you know, this is Looney Tunes, go crazy. No, it's very clear that they did their research. They probably watched dozens and dozens and dozens of hours worth of Looney Tunes shorts, specifically the ones involving Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. And they knew what would work in a modern era, but also pay homage to what made it work all the way back in the 30s and 40s. I mean, here's the thing. If you're expecting to see a lot of other Looney Tunes characters, like Tweety Bird or Sylvester the Cat or Roadrunner, Coyote, etc., you're not going to get that here. This is the Porky Pig and Daffy Duck show. And they give us exactly what it promises. Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. As well as Petunia Pig, who I need to give... I mean, this is a phenomenal cast. Wayne Knight, Carlos Alazraqui, I think Jess Harnell made an appearance in this movie. Hold on. Actually, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This movie had 11 writers. You had 11 creative minds who knew what they were doing. That's how careful, I mean, usually having that many writers is kind of a bad idea. But when you think about it, you've got 11 people who knew and what Looney Tunes stood for, and they did all they could to respect that. And it works here. Anyway, hold on. I'm trying to find the, okay, so, yeah, Fred Tatasciore, Peter MacNicol, I mentioned Wayne Knight, Keith Ferguson, I mentioned Carlos Alazraqui, Peter Braungart, who I do believe was he the director of this movie? Oh, yeah, he was. The director of this movie had a cameo too. It's really cool. But the real stars of the show and the MVPs of this movie are easily Candy Milo, who plays Petunia Pig, and someone who I don't think gets enough credit for being a voiceover actress. I mean, this woman took over the role of Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory after Christine Cavanaugh retired. Like, again, like Candy Milo, you were phenomenal, but the other MVP and the reason why Porky Pig and Daffy Duck were performed so brilliantly was Eric Bauza. I'm sure some of you guys already know this about me, but if you don't, my ultimate dream job is to be a voiceover actor. And, you know, growing up, you actually had some of the voiceover actors I just mentioned, like, again, Carlos Alazraqui, or, again, Wayne Knight, Jim Cummings, Rob Paulson, Jess Harnell, etc. But then you have, like, what I would consider, like, my generation of voiceover actors, like the younger generation, like Will Friedle, or Jason Marsden, or Mae Whitman, or in the case of this movie, Eric Bauza, who, I mean, it's very clear that, I mean, he's done like Looney Tunes shorts before, because Looney Tunes have made comebacks before, sure. But Eric Bauza has had a very storied voiceover career. And without fail, this movie is one of his greatest performances. And I'm very familiar with Eric Bauza's work. I mean, he's done voices that you wouldn't even think of. Like, he was White Pantera in, you know, El Tigre. He had performances in the 2012 iteration of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2017. I mean, he's been Master Splinter before in the latter. So he's already had great range. This really was Eric Bauza at his best. And it's always such a shame when, I mean, I get why people complain when it's always celebrities doing voiceover work, because, I get why that happens, it's to get, fill the theater with fill the seats in the theater, obviously. But, I mean, you can argue that celebrities have been used for voiceover work from the very beginning, but legit professional voiceover actors were used to make this movie. And I don't think anyone's going to appreciate that enough. At least not enough to be noticed by everyone. So, all this time I haven't even really talked about what the movie is. Well, Porky Pig and Daffy Duck, in the middle of the night, their roof gets hit by a UFO, and I don't want to give away that's the thing, I don't want to give away too much about what this movie is, because it would actually ruin how funny it can be. This is hard. And not to mention the motivations behind who you think the villain is. Turns out really isn't a villain at all. He just wants what he considers Earth's most valuable resource, which I dare not give away what that is, because again, that'd just be too funny. So, I mean, if it isn't obvious already, yeah, I wholly recommend this movie. This movie was fan-frickin-tastic. If you are a Looney Tunes fan, get to your nearest theater and give it a watch. I mean, here's the thing. I go to the Regal Cinema that's at the Arnott Mall, and the show times are weird. Like, they only have showings at, 1 and 3:30 in the afternoon. Like, I had to get lucky and be able to leave work early, and even then, I had to miss the previews. But I was able to see it, and I'm glad. Actually, that does remind me about something. Hold on. Oh, charging my headphones. Hold on. Oh. Okay, got an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, making it one of the best movies you really could be watching right now. Hold on. Okay. So, here's the thing. This movie was actually made and released in 2024. In order for this movie to be eligible to win an Academy Award, it had to be released for at least 7 days starting on December 13th of 2024. In order to be eligible for the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. I don't know if it, actually, I'm pretty sure it didn't get nominated. Not to my knowledge. However, due to the fact that they finally gave it a wide release, it's possible that it might get nominated for an Oscar next year, which would be really cool. I mean, it could win. I don't expect it to, but it might. But also, due to how good this movie is, I really hope for once in Warner Brothers' life they actually get their marketing done. Because that's the problem with Warner Brothers animated movies. Like, they've released movies like Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, and The Iron Giant, which are two of the greatest animated movies you're ever going to see. But they underperformed because Warner Brothers is so horrible at marketing. I really hope they got their act together for this one. But also, and this is actually one gag I will say, because if you know Porky Pig, you know he always ends it with a that's all, folks. But Daffy says, hold on, it's not the end. We gotta leave room for a sequel. Which, I mean, I don't know where you go after nearly blowing up the Earth. Spoiler, the Earth actually doesn't blow up. But I'd like to see a sequel, or you know what? Leave it for other Looney Tunes projects. I mean, okay, a quick story. A few years ago, there was going to be a movie called Coyote vs. Acme. If you don't know what that is, it's based on the Looney Tunes, the Roadrunner, and Coyote cartoon, Wile E. Coyote cartoons, where the coyote would use crazy contraptions from the Acme Corporation to try and capture the Roadrunner, but they always blow up in his face, always malfunction, etc. And the coyote is basically going to sue the Acme Corporation. That project was wound up canceled because of it, so they could get a tax write-off. If this movie does well, it might actually uncancel the project. Although here's the thing. I think another reason why that movie got canceled was because it would have unfortunately, I mean, the Coyote would have been animated, but it would have done what Space Jam did. You know, it would have had like live action people, you know, with, you know, Looney Tunes characters. Actually, I believe Woody Harrelson was supposed to play a Wile E. Coyote's lawyer, which, actually, there's some jokes there that could have been done. But I kind of get why. I mean, on the one hand, I'm kind of bummed that it got canceled, but if we were going to do like the half Looney Tunes, half live action thing, I'm kind of glad they scrapped it for that reason. Like, you could totally redo that movie, but just have it be completely animated. I mean, I just mentioned Woody Harrelson was supposed to play, I believe was supposed to play Wile E. Coyote's lawyer. You could have him voice a character based on himself. That could totally work. Like, I really hope that, I mean, no matter what happens, the Looney Tunes will always remain staples of pop culture, no matter what era it is. I mean, it's just what Doug Walker said. While great characters never change, environments do. So, again, things would probably have to change if they ever went forward with that movie. But I'm really glad that this movie exists, The Day the Earth Blew Up. You know, it's what Daffy joked at the end of the movie. There could be room for a sequel. Maybe they could, you know, re-greenlight Coyote versus Acme. Like, do something. I don't know what the future holds, but whatever it is, if nothing else, I'm glad that I saw The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. I was born and raised a Looney Tunes fan, and if I ever find the right girl and raise kids of my own, they're going to be Looney Tunes fans too. I mean, to the good folks who were behind this movie, to the great cast who made this movie what it was, thank you for bringing even a couple of these characters back to the silver screen where they debuted. And who knows? Maybe it won't be that long until we see them again. Only time will tell. I hope you like this video. If you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I am very humbled I made this video for all you guys who watch and enjoy today. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And remember, if you guys want to talk to me, I'm always going to be here to let me know. Always be back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.